Greetings and welcome to Immunotrack. First, I'd like to apologize. It has been a while since I've produced a video. Have been a little busy doing a few different things. As you can see, I have my background behind me, and now I'm able to record on Zoom and with a mic and a few additives that I've been able to add to my channel here. A friend of mine lives about an hour and a half from me, has helped me with the mic and a board, dead board and everything set up. It's been helping me out. And while I'm speaking about it, my friend Scotty Helton, he's got some videos that he's doing just really well. He and I have teamed up on a few projects. One of them is, I would like to welcome all of our listeners and watchers of our channel, the Immunotrack channel, is Scotty and I have started a new YouTube channel. It is called Sacred Odyssey Videocasts. Let me say that again. Sacred Odyssey Videocast. Intellectual and spiritual quest. In that video cast, we kind of tag team with each other, discussing topics. We have several pastors sending us questions that we're delving into topics like righteous, what is it? We're going to be talking about idolatry. We've got some questions that's come into us about what does the Hebrew text teach about idolatry. And so if you get a chance to slide over to Sacred Odyssey Videocast, like our videos, subscribe, and share them if you like the studies that we are doing. But to what I wanted to do in this video is share with something with you that's been on my mind today. And that is, I woke up this morning and I was thinking about Sodom and Gomorrah again. And to kind of introduce that, I spent 40 plus years of my life mixed up in some form of the Western religion that's in the United States. Associate pastor, taught Sunday schools, held Bible studies, home studies, the whole gamut there. I've done that for about, I didn't do it the whole 40 plus years, but that's part of my journey. The last 4 or 5 years, I've been on a journey that has taken me back to the book of Genesis. And in doing so, I've connected with Rabbi Pesach Sherbo of Safat, Israel. He's my rabbi. And in turn, he has helped me connect through him, with Rabbi Goldberg and Rabbi Herky of Jerusalem, of the Brit Olam Noahide World Center. They are a major group that works with non-Jewish people. They have the approval and the backing of the chief rabbinate of Israel, and which means a lot. They're just not fly-by-night people. They have a very strong approval of the rabbis that has the say-so of things in Israel, in Jerusalem, and in Israel alone. And some of you may be thinking, well, so what? So what? Why you got a rabbi? Why are you tied to Jerusalem? Well, folks, in what we call the Torah, the 5 books of Moses, the covenant that God made with Israel was given to Israel. It's their book. Those of us that aren't, Jewish or of Israel, we have no right. We might be able to pick up and read Hebrew and explain Hebrew, but we have no right to invent our own interpretations and what we think it says and No, it's not our book. If we make that our book and we interpret it the way we want to interpret it, then we have committed theft. Because see, that book was given to Israel by the Creator himself at Mount Sinai some 3,400 years ago. Those of us like Scotty and myself, Dan Barwell, just a whole slew of other people who are out there teaching the Noahide laws and this and that. We are part, well, not even we're not part of, we are being permitted to partake into a chain of Torah education, like I said, that goes back 3,400 some odd years. We're able to tap into that chain that was there. And therefore we share what Israel deems appropriate in the handling of their book and their scriptures. And that being said, there's a lot in the book of Genesis is really for the non-Jewish nations. But we have to go into what they says it says. They have the authority under God. We do not. We cannot just say, well, this means this, or this points to this, and this points to that, and this is a shadow. No, we cannot do that. That is not our place. Our place is to sit and to learn from the priest of the nations. And so I want to bring you something that I learned today. And I already kind of knew it, but it kind of put it into a package for me. See, this, I in my journey back to Genesis, I could study the book of Genesis the rest of my life. I've been in the first 9 chapters for about 2.5 years now, just in the first 9 chapters. But tonight we're going to look at Genesis 18 and verse 23. You see, I've been learning and studying about Sodom and things, and we know that Abraham approached God about the 50 righteous. But before he done that, he makes this statement. And Abraham drew near and said to the Creator, will you also sweep into ruin the righteous along with the wicked? Now, you see, I think I may have mentioned in past videos, and thought I'm going to do it in future videos, definitely, that the Creator judged the earth at the time of the flood, Sodom in its time, and Nineveh in its time, with a set of, he just didn't just get mad and just destroy them for no reason, or said he was going to, in Nineveh's case, said he was going to destroy them. He had a set of guidelines. He had a set of behavioral guidelines that was given to Adam, 6 of them. Noah received them, handed down to him from Adam. And then God gave him, after the flood, a 7th one, dealing with the eating of meat, which we won't get into in this teaching. And then Noah's son and them passed it on down to us and to Abraham. Abraham and his children actually studied these 7 guideline principles of behavior from Shem. Matter of fact, in Safad, Israel, there's a cave called the Shem of Eber. If I remember right, Eber was, I think it was Shem's grandson. You know, they taught Abraham and them 7 guidelines for behavior right there in Israel before Israel was Israel. And so these behavioral guidelines deemed what a person was righteous or wicked. And it has really, majority of the 7, actually all of them, deals with action, what people did, not what they believed. Had nothing to do with belief and faith, had to do with what they did, and what they did, how it impacted their character and how it impacted their societies around them. And so when Abraham went to the Creator and said, will you destroy, will you take to ruin the righteous with the wicked? There was a standard that separated righteousness and wickedness. Abraham knew it. He was taught it from Shem. Shem got it from Noah. Noah got it all the way back down through Adam. They've not changed. These principal guidelines, these 7 guidelines have not changed since the day of Adam. They're what the Creator judges all humanity by. And they're the base. They are the base in what's the 10 Commandments that was given to Israel. Even the Jews have to follow these 7 guidelines. Now, their dietary, as far as the eating goes a little bit further because they're the priests. And they have some days and things that they have to keep and some things that they have to do. That's because they are the priest. We are not. So there's things that are commanded to them that's not commanded to us. If we don't do them, it's not a sin because it wasn't commanded to us. And so these 7 behavioral guidelines is what Abraham was looking for in people if they were righteous at the time that God was going to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah, the cities of Sodom. There's 5 cities. And so this morning, I was just thinking, this was on my mind this morning. And I'm sitting, I'm getting ready. I had some place I had to go this morning, but beforehand, I was thinking and eating and contemplating for the first time, well, what does a righteous man in Sodom, what would he look like? What would God look for in people in Sodom to be deemed righteous to save the city? Have you ever thought about that? Think about it. I challenge you to think about what would have a righteous man, if he had been, because there wasn't, evidently there wasn't, we know the end of the story, but if there was, what would that person have looked like? And I'm not talking about, his dress code and all that. I'm talking about what would his character look like? What would his behavior look like? What would his interaction with other people look like? And that's what was on my mind this morning. And a few months back, I got a hold of a new set of commentary, which I've absolutely fell in love with. It's the Rabbi Hirsch Humish, what's called the Humish, which means 5. It's his commentary on the Torah, and I'm going to read today. I opened this up today, and I thought I'm going to go look and see what he had to say about this. And it was just like, bam! It was like I was getting the answer to my question. I mean, just it was bam for me. I was sitting there eating my bowl of cereal and got a bam, and I'm like, my question was answered. What would a righteous man look like in Sodom that would have saved the city? And so I'm going to title this video actually by the first words of Rabbi Hirsch's commentary on this verse, verse 23 of chapter 18 of Genesis. It's Abraham's righteous man. He goes on and says, Abraham's righteous man dwells in the midst of the city in lively connection with his whole environment. He never ceases to admonishing and teaching, objecting and warning and rectifying and saving as much as he is able. He is attentive to everyone and never tires in trying to right things. He would have spared no effort and would have worked unceasingly, to better his fellow citizen and countrymen who had deviated from the path. And that path is living by the behavioral guidelines that our manufacturer gave us to live by, because his guidelines produces a very harmonious, peaceful, and productive and fruitful life for everyone on the planet, regardless of race and nationality. We would not have the problems that is going on in our world today if all of us tried to live by these behavioral guidelines. But this is what the righteous man that Abraham asked the Creator to look for. He was a person who was connected to his community. And when he seen his community going the wrong direction, he would do his best to help bring that community back on path. He wouldn't hide in the closet. Had nothing to do with believing. It has everything to do with doing. Which, by the way, I'm putting in a plug. Our newest video on Sacred Odyssey is Righteous. What is it? It's part 1. Go check it out. And when you get to part 2, which you haven't got up yet, hopefully it'll be up this week, you're going to get a deeper taste of what righteous is. But it's about doing. And here we see saving. It has nothing to do with the Western religious world of saving. When you read about being saved in the Hebrew scriptures, it's about the saving of your body, your person, who you are, from physical calamity, from storms, from enemies. And in this case, it would have been saved from destruction. See, these 5 cities, if there was righteous people doing what they were supposed to be doing, not believing, but doing, them and their cities would have been saved from destruction. And that's what the word saved here is talking about. Being saved from destruction. Saved from calamity. Saved from tribulation. However you want to put it. But this was on my mind today. This was Abraham's righteous man. Have you ever thought about it? Or have you just read about in Genesis 18? Has it just been a children's story for you? No, it's not a children's story. It's words to live by. Words to improve yourself by. I mean, listen. Abraham drew near and said, "Will you sweep into ruin the righteous among the wicked?" The question is, what does the righteous look like? And then we know. He is a person who is trying to bring a fallen society back on the right path, not of belief, but of doing. And the doing is things like ridding the society of theft, robbery, murder, improper sexual relations. All of these things, these doings, to bring morality back. See, we're missing a lot of morality in our country today. And how do I know that? Look at what a lot of people are doing. When you're tearing down other people's buildings and businesses, that's theft. It didn't belong to you. Technically, if you're tearing down statues, that doesn't belong to you, it's theft. You're only permitted to tear down what is yours. We are not permitted to riot and tear down other people's property, their businesses. Because when a business is destroyed, you're taking away, you're stealing that man's livelihood or that person's livelihood. You're stealing the employee's livelihood. You can't make retribution on this. You don't know the damage you have done. And so these are the ills of our society. In Sodom's case, they were rich. They didn't want to help the poor. They had laws against helping the poor and the needy. And so that's not taking care of your fellow man. And so when we see where God interacts with mankind directly, like the flood, Sodom and Nineveh, it has to do every time. Check me out. Go read the stories. And they're not stories. Go read the text. That every time it has to deal with the reaction of what is going on with man against man. In the case of Nineveh, they corrected their robbery and their injustice. Not one pagan temple came down. They didn't correct their belief. They didn't correct their faith. But what they corrected was how they treated one another. And the Creator said, I saw that. And he rescinded the decree to destroy the city. So Abraham's righteous man was doing right to his neighbor and encouraging his neighbor to do right to his neighbor. And just on my mind today, I wanted to share that with you. I want to thank you for tuning into Muna Trek. Hopefully it won't be this long before I do any more videos. If you've got questions, we're learning a lot with Scotty and I. We're taking questions from pastors and people. If you've got a question of something I've said and you honestly have a question, not a debate. I don't debate. There's no room for it. I debated 2 years in a debate group. It's worthless. Might as well rope the wind. But if you're really interested in learning what the Hebrew text of the Torah says about something, contact me. Drop me a note. If this video helped you out any, please like it and share it, and subscribe if you haven't subscribed. So I just want to, again, thank you for coming to my channel, and feel free to send me any questions. And until next time, I'm Terry Hayes with Immunatrack. See you later.